What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. Mickey Loomis met with the media yesterday, and everybody wanted to ask him about Derek Carr. Unfortunately, he did not want to talk about Derek Carr. He did say, quote, he does have an issue with his shoulder. We're hoping to get some resolution and clarity on that in the near future, and when we do, I'll report back to you. I think he was asked about half a dozen questions on Carr. He refused to answer, saying that he would only answer questions about the draft. Here was probably the question that frustrated me most. He was asked if restructures, because of course the Saints this offseason tied themselves to Derek Carr for seemingly 2 more years, for no, at least 1 more year, for seemingly no reason when he won it out. And he was asked, well, okay, do restructures require players to pass a physical, right? Like, of course, I mean, you're going to commit to them long term. You should maybe know what's going on at the bottom. What did he say? Quote, restructures can come in all sorts of forms. Thank you. That was my reaction as well. Such a vague, BS-y answer, basically saying, no, we did not give Derek Carr a physical. We assumed health, and, well, it looks like we were wrong. Restructures can come in all sorts of forms, yes, including the crappy ones, which, well, I would describe this one as. He would go on to describe his approach to the draft this year, saying, quote, I don't think the draft approach is different for us than it would be in any year. We're hoping for as many good players, great players as we can find. And we're fortunate enough this year to have multiple picks in the first 4 rounds. And we're excited because I think there's some depth in this draft. Okay, so that last part, we're fortunate enough to have this year multiple picks in the first 4 rounds. And we're excited because I think there's depth in the draft. Please, God, let that mean that the Saints are going to take all of their picks. I know the plan on paper appears to be to trade back up to get a quarterback. In fact, there are some rumors that the Saints are looking to trade back to acquire some extra draft capital to then package and move back up into the late first round, maybe earlier in the second to get a quarterback. The problem is I don't know why anybody would trade up with you. Like, where is your, you don't really, again, we always love this idea of trade back, but it takes 2 to tango. And there's no great incentive point, right? There's no catalyst to want to spur another trade or to spur a trade from another team. Unless there's a guy on the board that maybe isn't supposed to be there at that time that another team's just absolutely in love with. But like famously, when the Chiefs traded up ahead to grab Patrick Mahomes a few years ago, that's because they knew these Saints were going to take him next if he was still there. Quarterback has a way of incentivizing that action. It's more rare for these other positions to do so. So sure, trading back sounds great. I just don't know how they would. In terms of trading back up to get one of these quarterbacks, late first, early second, I don't like it for a couple of reasons. First off, your roster is so threadbare. I really want to spend all these picks and try to get as many players as possible. As we enter the rebuild, you have to start to build out the bones. You know, you need the meat and potatoes of the roster here, and you have a chance to cook up some pretty tasty meat and potatoes if you draft them and you spend all of these picks. Another reason why I don't necessarily like it is because it's going to be a hyper-competitive market. Basically, every team is thinking the exact same thing. We'll go player first and then quarterback second. I mean, there are a lot of teams looking to choose those guys who will be around at the end of the first, early second, meaning the price, if you are a team that wants to trade back there, the price goes up for any potential buyers. That's what everybody wants to do. Now, sure, as I said yesterday, like the ideal to me would be drafting someone at 9, and there's a million different directions you can go. What did we say yesterday on our Sharp Picks Mock 10? It was Mason Graham. Well, you know, Schrager, I think, had him with Mikael Williams today, which that one would cause disconsternation.
I don't think they do that.
Amongst the Saints fan base for sure. But like, there's a million different ways they could go. They're at 9. But the point is, you get a starter there, and then later on, to me, the dream would be ended up with like a Jalen Milroe. It's probably a bit too exciting, though, to make it all the way to 40 when you look at how the other teams are going. But is Jalen Milroe worth trading up for? And that's where I just don't see it. So I talked about the fact that they need to fill out the roster. I talked about the fact that it's a hyper-competitive market. How about the fact that all of these quarterbacks are in that late first, early second round period because people just aren't sure if they'll be any good? Last year, you had 6 quarterbacks go in the top 12. There was a lot of belief in that class. Unless we're all being fooled, there doesn't appear to be in this class. And yeah, some guys have gotten hot. Certainly Jackson Dart seems to be one of the names that is climbing. Did you see what Joe Shane's son posted a Jackson Dart highlight reel on his Instagram and then set his account to private immediately afterwards? Because I guess, of course, that was like taken way out of context and people started going crazy over it. I guess, but the point is, like, these quarterbacks are viewed as more risky than the traditional quarterback. And so is it worth it then to trade up and grab one of them when you might just be grabbing another Rattler? And you can say, oh, well, Spencer Rattler was 5th round. Okay, yeah, I mean, yes, you're not wrong. So maybe I'm being a bit disingenuous saying you might be grabbing another Rattler, but that is kind of how people seem to feel about this class. They're just unsure. And so it's so coin flippy, so risky. Is it worth giving up some of these picks that you so desperately need on what Mickey Loomis himself described as a draft with a lot of with a lot of depth? What do you think, Tay-Tay? How do you think the Saints handle this strategy of trying to select a player first, quarterback second?
No, I mean, that's certainly the way I think they're going to go. I mean, everyone has said it's no longer Shador at 9, which we know, and then they've said O-line, D-line is kind of where they go. Now, do they like Michael Williams on the edge? I don't. That's why I went Mason Graham yesterday. I don't know tackle-wise what's going to be there for you. Will Campbell will be gone. A lot of people think the New York Jets, myself included, are going to take Mimbu out of Missouri. Do you really want to go 3rd offensive tackle off the board at 9 overall? Yeah. I think you go defensive line as much because, like, we talk about it all the time, right? The good news is the Saints it'd be very hard for them to mess this up because you need everything. The bad news is you need everything. I'd pretty much be happy with whatever. Like, I would love a corner because I think you need one. You can't take Will Johnson at 9, though. The injury history concerns me a little bit. He barely played this last year. He's coming off that. Do you like Jedi Barron enough? I don't think you take him at 9. Everyone loves Tetairoa McMillan. I think this is a pretty deep receiver class. I mean, there's a lot of different ways they go, but I do think they go D-line.
Yeah, that would make sense. But, you know, the thing is, though, something always ends up going awry.
Yeah.
Like, you never would have thought you were going to get Marshawn Lattimore at 13 those years ago. It's because you had an early, unexpected run on offensive players. So, like, what if Genty doesn't end up going? Do you go Genty then? In a weird way, the Saints are so desperate, like Taylor laid out yesterday, they're so desperate for everything that almost anything can be celebrated. I just need to hear that Derek Carr is gone and no longer playing for the New Orleans Saints, and that they are going to swallow the bitter pill, start to finally really reset the cap, and it'll take a couple of years. But again, that's why you need to draft all of these players, because again, it's not just the roster deficiencies, but the cap deficiencies mean that these rookie contracts have added value. Taylor, this is your final chance to give me your last draft thoughts on what you think we're going to see tonight.
I know yesterday I mentioned that I thought the Jaguars were going to be a wild card at 5, and I do, depending on who they pick. A lot of people are saying, though, the Giants kind of want to trade out of that number 3 spot. I mean, that's something to keep an eye on, because if they trade out at 3, you could say, okay, well, somebody else is trading up to get Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
Unless they don't. Unless they fall in love with a quarterback. Unless they fall in love with Ashton Genty. That changes everything.
I guess the reason why I say there's no way that they would trade up to take a quarterback is because nobody is thought to going to be
Yep.
to take a quarterback. So, like, why?
No, I get it.
Why would you commit more resources to a questionable quarterback that nobody else seems to really want?
Like the Raiders are a team to watch because there's a lot of reports that the Jacksonville Jaguars love Ashton Genty. They're a pick before the Las Vegas Raiders. If somebody wanted to trade up from 6 to 3, like 6 to 3 is doable.
Okay,
that
I see
works
what
for
you're
both
saying.
sides.
So, yeah,
So
if you wanted to hop in front to get...
like the Giants are a team to watch. That's pick 3. Like, I think we all agree that it's going to be Ward.
But then if you're 6, then you would first explore with the Patriots, right, to go to 4.
You would think so, yeah.
And then the Patriots would probably be open to listen to that because they would get resources. They could still get Will Campbell at 6.
Yeah, and because I don't think Jacksonville is going to take Will Campbell. They may, at 5, but I mean, yeah, that would be a team to watch too. But apparently, like the Giants are like actively looking to trade back.
Well, look, that makes all the sense in the world. They need a lot of help. And again, Abdul Carter at 3 represents enough value because again, we said what's the catalyst to make one of these things happen? Abdul Carter at 3, the best player in the draft, making it to the 3rd pick, would seemingly, on paper, potentially represent enough value for a team to want to commit to trying to get up there. Alondra, you're kind of like me, generally don't care about the draft that much. Or at least I don't want to put words in your mouth. I don't know. Do you have any the clip draft day thoughts?
It's not that I don't care about the draft. I just don't follow it as closely as like Taylor or Jake do or you even because like I don't really care about like the other teams. So I don't know, but my take on the Saints is what I've been saying since a couple weeks ago is that when the Shador thing came up, we're like, you're just so bad that it doesn't matter who you draft. Like, whatever is going to help. Yeah. Whether it's not going to be Shador, obviously, but whether it be him, Jackson Dart, Mason Graham, you need everything. So whoever it is, I'm not going to be too upset.
Mitchell Knapp says praying for that 2017 Magic draft. I agree, man. Again, you've had 2 in the Mickey Loomis era. You had 06, you had 17, and they both led to real championship window runs. You're still going to be hamstrung a bit by some of your cap management and whatnot, but you have enough early picks here where you can really put together a pretty solid foundation for the next couple of years. So. We'll see. I think the other crazy part is, we commit, and this is why I find myself sometimes disillusioned or unmotivated when it comes to studying things like mock drafts, is all it takes is one really wild card move, and then the knock-on effect is that everything changes. Like Nookie mentions Penix going at 8. Last year. I mean, it happens every single year.
Exactly.
Something wild happens in the top 10, and then everything else is thrown off. And it's kind of insane to put yourself in the war rooms of these teams. Because, I'm sure they have better intel than we do, but who knows what they actually expect to happen. And all of a sudden, you're scrambling because the entire setting is vastly and wickedly different than what you thought it was going to be. Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the 2 guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.